Jared Anderson, he's getting hit by big heavyweights. I don't think it's just going to be like he gets hit by a jab and turns his back and runs away. I think he's a tough young man. But he will find out all about levels and power and the danger of taking a fight like this. And he's going to get viciously knocked out. The only thing is, like, how badly he gets knocked out really depends. It probably comes down to a little bit of luck.
I think the only person who's even remotely taken a risk like this was Canelo moving up to fight Bivol. A 7-pound difference. This is 40.
I mean, Crawford moving up to fight Canelo was a massive risk, even though you could say, okay, Canelo wasn't Canelo, blah, blah, blah. I disagree. I think that Crawford coming up to fight Canelo and winning was a massive risk for him. But Jake's risk here is greater than both of those, in my opinion, because Terrence Crawford was world championship level, and Canelo was not really a 168-pounder throughout his career, although he's won belts there and been very successful. And even when Canelo jumped to 175, Bivol is world class, but so is Canelo. Jake is making this jump after not beating anyone in the top 100 in any weight class ever, outside of, again, a gifted ranking for Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., to then fighting a top 5 heavyweight on the, maybe top 10, but top 5, in my opinion, heavyweight on the planet in Anthony Joshua. This is far bigger risk health-wise, right? Jake doesn't have to win, which makes the risk, I guess, a little less, whatever. But as far as just his health and safety, it's just way, way, way more risk.
That Anthony Joshua is not going to just lose the weight beforehand. He's not going to come in drained. What he's going to do is just do extra cardio, and that's just going to make him more dangerous. He's going to be terrifying, and he's going to have a lot to prove. He's going to be very angry that Jake Paul wants to fight him. Very upset that this YouTuber who's fought Tommy Fury, who's a legit boxer, and, a couple other guys that were legit boxers. That's it. Like everyone else he's fought Ben Askren, who was really a wrestler. He fought Tyron Woodley, who was an elite MMA fighter, but, not an elite boxer. He fought Nate Robinson, who was a basketball player. At least he's fought these guys. He fought Anderson Silva, and he dropped Anderson Silva, and Anderson Silva was a really good striker, but also in his 40s, different time. It's, not the same guy he used to be. This is a 34-year-old Anthony Joshua. This is a terrifying human being. Terrifying.
People are giving all kinds of predictions for Joshua versus Jake Paul. Some think Joshua's power and experience will end the fight early, while others believe Jake's confidence and sharp timing could shock everyone. This matchup has created real hype because nobody knows what will happen when a heavyweight veteran meets a fast-improving YouTuber turned fighter.
On a personal level, I don't think that the Jake Paul-Anthony Joshua fight should be happening. That's just on my personal level. For health and safety reasons, you've just seen a fight with Jai Apataya just last weekend. Big punching guy, world champion, has just put somebody in hospital with a broken vertebra in his neck and other serious injuries. That's just the tip of the iceberg. Now, if Anthony Joshua goes into this fight with Jake Paul on a serious level and catches Jake Paul with a serious punch, he will do far more damage than...
Eddie Hearn said Joshua is taking this fight very seriously and that they are preparing for Jake like he is a real top-level opponent. He said there is no relaxed mindset and AJ is locked in because this fight matters a lot for his career. Eddie predicted that Joshua is coming in sharp and focused and that the whole week is being treated like a real heavyweight fight, not a fun event.
You'll see me all week and I'll be around AJ like I am every fight week, and we're taking this very seriously. It's not like we're not going into this week in Miami as a laugh. We're not saying, oh, it's Jake Paul, oh, this is going to be like, we're expecting a test, and we're expecting and preparing like we would if we were fighting a world-class heavyweight. I don't think you would expect anything less from AJ. He's not mucking around, he's not laughing and joking. He's relaxed, but he knows he's fighting next week on a massive stage in a fight that's very important for his career and very important for boxing in general.
Welcome. Eddie also said that Jake will not just fold right away. He said Jake has some pride and he has built a bit of skill from sparring big guys. Eddie made it clear that Jake is tough, but once the punches start landing, he will learn the difference in levels fast.
Conversations have you had with him in the past few days, last week? What has he said to you?
Nothing really. It's been exactly the same. There's a huge amount of pressure because I guess you don't really know what to expect. we, the boxing world, says, oh, he'll just go in there and smash him to pieces. Like, I don't expect Jake Paul just to go in there and fall over. Like, he's got some pride. He's built some ability. He's been sparring Okoli and Sanchez and Jared Anderson. He's getting hit by big heavyweights. I don't think it's just going to be like he gets hit by a jab and turns his back and runs away. I think he's a tough young man.
After that, Eddie predicted the actual outcome. He said Jake is going to get knocked out. Not just stopped, but knocked out badly. He explained that the only thing that can save Jake is luck, meaning Joshua's shots not landing clean. If AJ lands properly, Eddie believes Jake will go down and not get up.
But he will find out all about levels and power and the danger of taking a fight like this. And he's going to get viciously knocked out. The only thing is, like, how badly he gets knocked out really depends. It probably comes down to a little bit of luck. Like, he needs to get lucky and nothing to land too clean. You know, and he can go over and, you know, he can't get up and the ref stopped. That'll be a massive result. You know, the biggest result for Jake Paul right now is that he gets away with it by not getting hit too flush. Because the artillery will be heavy. The artillery won't be, and I've lost count of how many times I've said this. Do not worry.
Wade Plemons started by saying that Jake is taking more damage in this camp than ever before. The black eye showed him that Jake is getting hit harder, getting pushed more, and possibly getting caught by shots he never saw coming. He said this level of damage in training usually means the danger on fight night is going to be even worse. He also said that if Jake gets caught clean in the actual fight, it will only take one punch to change everything. Wade explained that heavyweight shots, especially with smaller gloves, can end the fight instantly. He believes this risk is extremely high because Jake already showed he can't avoid certain punches in sparring.
It's one of those two things. This is the worst I've seen Jake look after sparring or at any time during his camps, and maybe there's been times where he's not on camera, but you can tell the levels are higher and the risk is higher and the danger is higher this time around because of how his eye looks. He's probably getting hit harder, getting funked up worse in sparring than he ever has. Now, he has said that the heavyweights he's sparring, it's actually easier for him and he's not getting hit as much, but that black eye is not the same indication as to what he's saying. So either he's embellishing a bit and this is harder than he thought, or harder than anything else he's ever done as far as the sparring, the training for this match, or he got caught with something big and that's the only big shot he's been hit with. Regardless, yes, it means Jake is getting good sparring, and that's a good sign, right? It's getting good work, it's preparing him for the fight, but it also means he's been hit with something that he didn't see, and it was fucking hard. I'm gonna tell you something. If that happens in this fight, and really it just takes one, and I'm not saying Jake's gonna get knocked out with a jab, who knows, but if it's a hook on his chin and not his eye, or it's a right hand on his fucking cheek and on his jaw, it just takes one at heavyweight. It just, 10-ounce gloves, it just takes one. And if that black eye is any indication as to getting hit with hard punches in sparring, I'm gonna be honest, that's not a great thing when it comes to the fight.
Finally, Wade predicted that this jump in levels is way too big for Jake. He said Jake has never beaten a top 100 boxer, but is now fighting a top 5 heavyweight. Wade believes the risk here is massive, and that this decision is putting Jake in a very dangerous situation health-wise, not just career-wise.
Crawford moving up to fight Canelo was a massive risk, even though you could say, okay, Canelo wasn't Canelo, blah, blah, blah. I disagree. I think that Crawford coming up to fight Canelo and winning was a massive risk for him, but Jake's risk here is greater than both of those, in my opinion, because Terrence Crawford was world championship level, and Canelo was not really a 168-pounder throughout his career, although he's won belts there and been very successful. And even when Canelo jumped to 175, Bivol is world class, but so is Canelo. Jake is making this jump after not beating anyone in the top 100 in any weight class ever, outside of, again, a gifted ranking for Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., to then fighting a top 5 heavyweight on the, maybe top 10, but top 5, in my opinion, heavyweight on the planet in Anthony Joshua. This is...
Joe Rogan predicted that Joshua's power is the real danger. He talked about how Joshua dropped Francis early and hit him with a fast and clean combination. Joe's prediction is that if Joshua can do that to a big and strong heavyweight like Francis, then Jake will not be able to handle even one of those punches. He believes Joshua's speed at that size is a huge problem that Jake cannot deal with. He mentioned how Joshua has gone through top guys like Usyk and Ruiz. He thinks the gap in skill, experience, and timing will be too much for Jake because Joshua has already fought and survived the best in the world.
Watch this.
Highlights, we can't watch the
So he drops him with a right hand early. And this is like 2 minutes into the first round. And Francis gets up, he survives. And then Joshua, check out this combination he hits him with. I mean, dude, the speed that he hits him with this, he's so dangerous, man. It's like you're dealing with a guy who's an Olympic gold medalist, and he's enormous, and he's got vicious knockout power, and he's got immense amount of experience at world-class levels. Just think about what we said earlier. Fought Usyk twice, fought Andy Ruiz twice.
Oh, man.
Bro, the timing in that right hand, just spectacular.
Joe predicted that Joshua will come into this fight angry and motivated. He believes AJ will not take Jake lightly because he will feel disrespected that a YouTuber wants to fight him. Joe said that this anger will make Joshua even more dangerous because he will be looking to make a statement and show the world that Jake does not belong in the ring with him. He broke down how Jake mostly fought MMA fighters past their prime and only had one competitive fight with Tommy Fury. Joe predicted that these past fights will not help against a top heavyweight who knows how to use every inch of his height and reach.
I said Anthony Joshua is not going to just lose the weight beforehand. He's not going to come in drained. What he's going to do is just do extra cardio, and that's just going to make him more dangerous. He's going to be terrifying, and he's going to have a lot to prove. He's going to be very angry that Jake Paul wants to fight him. Very upset that this YouTuber who's fought Tommy Fury, who's a legit boxer, and a couple other guys that were legit boxers. That's it. Like everyone else he's fought Ben Askren, who was really a wrestler. He fought Tyron Woodley, who was an elite MMA fighter, but not an elite boxer. He fought Nate Robinson, who was a basketball player. At least he's fought these guys. He fought Anderson Silva, and he dropped Anderson Silva. And Anderson Silva was a really good striker, but also in his 40s. Different time. It's not the same guy he used to be. This is a 34-year-old Anthony Joshua. This is a terrifying human being. Terrifying.
Duke McKenzie explained that the Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua fight does not feel safe to him. He feels Joshua hits too hard, and Jake has never taken punches from someone at that level. Duke believes that if Joshua lands a clean shot, the damage could be far worse than what we recently saw happen to other fighters who were seriously hurt. In his view, if the fight goes ahead, Joshua finishes it very fast, and he just hopes it ends before any real harm happens.
On a personal level, I don't think that the Jake Paul Anthony Joshua fight should be happening. That's just on my personal level. For health and safety reasons. You've just seen a fight with Jai Apataya just last weekend. Big punching guy, world champion, has just put somebody in hospital with a broken vertebra in his neck and other serious injuries. That's just the tip of the iceberg. Now, if Anthony Joshua goes into this fight with Jake Paul on a serious level and catches Jake Paul with a serious punch, he will do far more damage.
He also shared that this kind of matchup could hurt the sport if something bad happens on fight night. Duke thinks the gap in size, power, and experience is too big, and that makes the fight risky for Jake. He feels the sport could face backlash if the outcome ends badly, which is why he does not like the idea of this fight going ahead.
Simon Jordan said this fight is everything that's wrong with boxing. I mean, obviously about that fight, but also just the overall structure of boxing right now. We spoke off camera and it does sell. Everyone's going to watch that fight. Do you agree with Simon there?
I do agree with Simon Jordan. It's
bad for the sport because let's play devil's advocate again. What if something bad happens in this fight? Where does that leave boxing? In the gutter. So from that perspective, the fight shouldn't be happening, but it's going to happen. And like I say, let's just hope both guys can go off to their families with their health.
Then he spoke about Jake's sparring clips. Duke thinks the sessions look soft because the sparring partners are being told to take it easy. He believes they are just moving around with Jake and not giving him any real pressure. Duke feels this type of training will not prepare Jake for someone like Joshua because the styles do not match and the work looks too light.
The sparring partners are sparring partners for a reason. When you bring in a sparring partner, they're under orders. And if they're under orders in this particular fight, then these sparring partners have been told under no uncertain terms to go easy. Go through the motions. Don't try and put it on him. And So I would be in agreement with Carl Froch in that perspective, saying that it would be a very tame sparring session because they just want to be able to say they sparred with genuine heavyweights. They don't want to be able to say they've had wars with the heavyweights and this guy's really prepared. And you can't really prepare for Anthony.
When Gareth A. Davies spoke about the actual prediction, he made it clear that he does not see any world in which Jake wins. For him, the only way Jake gets a win is something random like Joshua getting injured mid-fight. He says there is no realistic boxing situation where Jake can outbox or hurt Joshua. Gareth said if Jake somehow wins, it would be the biggest upset in boxing history. Not just boxing, it would be one of the biggest shocks in all of sports. That is how unrealistic he feels the matchup is and how much it would shake the entire sport if it actually happened.
Hell is there.
What, that we see an upset?
Yeah.
No, I mean, you can't, if you work in this industry and you know the fight sports world, you can't go with the Jake Paul victory. The only thing you can perceive really is AJ tripping over and breaking an ankle and not being able to stand up after it looks like Jake Paul's clipped him with a left hook, where he's playing possum on the ropes, or he's thrown an overhand right that doesn't touch him or whatever. And it's mired in controversy forever. As I said and as I spoke with Nikisa Bidarian and Jake Paul at the press conference in Miami a couple of weeks back, if Jake Paul does do it, it'll be the biggest upset in the history of boxing. The biggest shock ever. Maybe one of the biggest upsets in the whole of sport. Some people will question whether this really is sport. You know, you can deem it to be circus.
Davies said he does not believe Jake can win, and he openly worries about Jake's safety. He said the UK would never allow this fight to be licensed because Jake is still a beginner compared to Joshua. He explained that people are already waiting for something to go wrong, so the fight gets cancelled. He mentioned that some people thought Jake's eye injury in sparring was a sign that the fight might not happen. Gareth said he will not believe the fight is real until he sees them during fight week. So now you've heard from everyone, all the experts have broken down just how dangerous this fight could be. Joshua is treating it like a real challenge, because even if some people think it's crazy, he knows he can't underestimate anyone. And Jake, well, he's stepping into the biggest test of his career so far. Let me know in the comments what you think. Do you agree with the experts, or do you think Jake can pull off a surprise?